Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel for this episode 12 here on New Frontier with me, Farmer Murphy. Well, we have jumped ahead to October 1st. It is harvest time, and we are here right and early. It's 5:30 in the morning, and the reason I brought you in at this time because it is quite dark out. If we look at the map here, I've decided I want to buy field 11 here. It is 610,000. We have 581. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to borrow $200,000. So we'll have actually $400,000 in loans on $1 million worth of field. So I don't feel too bad about that. Also, we have paid off the Deutschfahr, so that money is no longer coming out. And I need to have a little money left to get ready for harvest. But the reason we're here so early is the AI kept giving contracts on this field, and I had to keep messing around, and I didn't want it to come up and harvest it on us or something like that because I knew it was going to come due for harvest, that is. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to borrow the money. I'm going to get that field bought so nothing bad happens to it. And then I will meet you back here at a more civilized hour, and we'll get you caught up and we'll get ready for harvest. So I'll see you in a couple hours. Welcome back, everybody. It is a more reasonable time. It's 7:30 in the morning. You see the sun is up. I still have the time on 0.5 because we're going to go over a bunch of information, an update from what happened since the last episode. But as soon as we jump in the harvester, we'll crank that back up. So, what happened since the last time we were together? Well, as you may recall, we were working on a number of contracts. That was in May, and we ended up doing 14 fertilizing contracts for a total of 331.5K. And then we did 7 hoeing contracts for 166.7K. So that all happened in May. Then June and July, no contracts at all. And then August, we had a harvest contract for that small sorghum field come up on field 8. But it was going to cost more to lease the header than what the contract was worth, so I let that one go. And then on field 11, a baling contract came up. Well, I had already kind of earmarked that field, so I certainly didn't want to do that. So I let that one slide. So we didn't do any work in August either. Then in September, we didn't harvest field 8, so they asked if we wanted to bale the straw up. So we did do that. So we baled the straw in field 8 for 4K. And then 3 plowing contracts came up. And that was for a total of 67K. And then the follow-on 3 stone picking contracts came up, and that was 35K. Now, if you're counting on your fingers and toes, you'll say, something doesn't add up here, Farmer Murphy, because we started with over 300,000 and you made over 300,000. How come I had to borrow money for that field? Well, that's because I went into the darn used store again. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Now, I guess the next thing is I did lease all of our harvest equipment we needed that we didn't have. I guess you might have figured that out by the header trailer sitting there in the background. But harvest equipment we bought last year was the harvester, so I had to lease the header and the header trailer again. Those are the same ones, and that cost us $7,800. And again, a reminder, about half of that will be the hourly charge after the first hour. That's an approximation. Then if I turn around here, you'll see we have a truck and trailer. Different truck this time. I thought I'd try out the new International. Came with the Plains and Prairie DLC. So we leased one of those this time. But we did end up with the same Wilson trailer. And then we went with a different auger wagon, a larger auger wagon. This one is better suited or better matched to the truck, so it'll allow us to be more efficient. I think this auger wagon will fill the truck up to like 99 or 98%, something like that. So pretty darn close. So that's just going to make harvest way more efficient for us. And this is the reason we need to borrow money. Wouldn't you know it? After I bought the 9RT, then the 8RT comes up used. The tractor I have been holding out for that I want to use on the planter, but it was such a good deal I couldn't let it go by. It was, did I write that down? You know what? I don't think I did. Let me check my notes here one more time. Shoot, I did not. It was either 56 or 63% off, somewhere in that area, because it's got like 35 hours on it. So it does have a fair bit of time, but I just couldn't let that go. If I hadn't have bought that, we'd have had enough cash to buy the cornfield that we purchased at Dark 30. But I wasn't really too concerned about it. I figured we'd get lots of contracts. And, oh, we did. That's one thing I didn't look at. We did get a bunch of contracts in since we were together early this morning. And also, we could sell the Deutz if we were stuck, or even the 9RT for that matter, if we were really in desperate need of funds. And we did pay the Deutz off. I can't remember if I mentioned that, but it's been paid off. And so that's a pretty good chunk of money every month we're not paying. And the loan is considerably less. I think the loan was less than $1,000. We can take a look at it here, actually. Oh, how handy! Yeah, it's $1,000, and the Deutz we were paying, I think about $7,000 a month for that. So we're still coming out ahead. And if we look at the contracts, you can see we've got a number of them. So we got a baling contract on 10, cultivating on 5, and a plowing on 1. So those 3 fields, obviously, we're not going to be doing harvesting on, but we still have some pretty nice harvest contracts. 15 for 89, 2 for 74, 4 for 75. So pretty good. And it's not like we're not getting anything off of those fields, but they are pretty good sized fields. Field 10 is right there. Field 5's by the home place. And field 1 is just south of the home place. But it is what it is. We're getting to get some revenue from them. But I think that is... yeah, everything. So let me get the time fired back up and we'll get the harvester cranked up and we'll do some harvesting. So we'll catch up with you in just a second. Okay, I think the harvester's all warmed up. We can get it fired up here and on the move. Now, one of the first things you'll notice is we're going to be spitting out a straw swath. Now, I did some research, and this was mostly to do with when we got our own cattle is what made me look for this. But as it turns out, you know what, I'm just going to back up and kind of clean this corner up here a little bit. As it turns out, in the US anyways, they use soybean straw a fair bit for bedding of cattle or any livestock, I should say. It actually makes pretty darn good bedding and is becoming quite popular because it's not as expensive as, like, say, wheat or barley straw, something like that. So we're going to use our soybean straw for bedding. Now, I do know that from watching other real life farmers, some do bale up their their corn swath. And I can't see any reason why that wouldn't make really good filler for our TMR mix, because up here in our neck of the woods, they'll take corn, they'll plant it, they'll leave it standing and dry, and rather than harvest it when the snow starts to fly, they'll put electric fence through sections of it, and they will run the cattle out in there, and they'll eat that right down to nothing, right down to the dirt. They love it. Actually, so do the deer for that matter. So I can't see that our corn straw wouldn't make excellent padding for our TMR mix. So for that reason, we're going to run straw swaths because it is realistic. Realistically, there is a use for them. So I thought, well, seeing as we're going to do that for our own animals, there's no reason for us not to do it on our fields and sell it. So we're going to take and bale this up and just sell it off, get a little extra revenue. Now, right now, Jim and I are handling this harvest. Normally we'd have 3 family members, but it is all hands on deck. But Rebecca and Amanda are working on that plowing and cultivating contract because we do have rain in the forecast, and it's no problem for Jim and I just to handle this harvest because we're just trucking it across the yard, basically across the road. But as soon as we have to go any distance at all, we'll have 3 of us dedicated to the harvest, and we can only have 1 other additional contract going. And I did the same thing last year. Now last harvest, like we were able to buy this harvester, and I think we made close to $1 million. I don't know if we'll make quite that much this year, potentially. And I'd like to do the same thing, is buy out at least 1 item that we've been leasing. And this year I think we might buy out the truck, potentially the truck and trailer if we can afford them both, simply because we are going to have a lot more crop to sell in the winter. And last winter I just used our trailer to transport it to market because we didn't have that much. It was only, I only had to make 3 trips, but I'm certainly hoping we're going to have more than 3 trips worth this year. So it would be nice to be able to hang on to the truck. And I'd like to pay, if not pay off, pay down at least 1 of the loans. Although, like I said, it's $400,000 we have against $1 million worth of property. So we're in, pretty good shape. And our bank account isn't empty. Of that $200,000 we borrowed, we still have $148K. Now, of course, this field we did all the prep on, and what we were at, 124 out of 125%, or 123, 120, something like that. We had really good yield on it. Probably won't do as good on that cornfield, of course, because we didn't prep it. But we'll do that for sure after we get it harvested. But that's work that could potentially wait till spring too. Oops. A little too close. Maybe another tree needs to go, or Farmer Murphy needs to pay attention. one of the two. Now, how are we doing here? Let's just nip inside and have a look. 80%. Okay, I think what we'll do is, so it's easy for Jim to come and unload us. Cut across here. Boy, you can see we got some hail damage. Straighten this out a little bit. Make it fun for whoever has to come and bale it. I'm sure they'll be happy with me. We'll finish off this little top section, and then we'll call Jim to come empty us out here. Now I think we're going to need to take it. It's a little bit wider than our header, I suspect. Take a swipe like this and see if we can't get it on. And yeah, we can probably get Jim on his way, actually. It'll take him a minute to get here. Now, I'm not too sure. I was planning on basing this episode around getting this harvest done and seeing what we get off our first field. And then I think, though, rather than, complete all the harvests and all that other work, what I'll do is we'll do some of it and we'll come back and we'll do another harvest episode a little bit later on. And we can kind of see how it's going, where we're at financially, if we've bought anything out. Because I bought the harvester out fairly early in the harvest season. Basically, as soon as we accumulated the... Whoa there, big guy. He's coming in there pretty hot. Now I'll stop for him here. Is that going to mess him up? Where you going, Jim, buddy? Texting. Teenagers. Ooh. Oh, good. Good. Perfect. Forgot to check that. I had to tweak it for the other auger wagon a little bit, but this one worked out okay. Yeah, so I think we'll get this harvest done. That should be just about an episode, I think, by the time we get it all in the truck and over to the silo. And then I will carry on and we'll move a little farther into harvest season, and then we'll bring you back in for some more harvesting action, maybe some corn harvesting, and also we can see where we're at financially, how things are looking, because it just seems an awful lot of work and a long time before spring. But my goal is to kind of move my series along now a little bit quicker because of where we're at, so we can do something else but in a little bit. We have got a long ways to go in here. Now I'm only going to collect the straw. I should make sure I'm clear on that, on our fields. I'm not picking up the straw on any of our contract fields. It's just our straw. So that is a little bit of extra work that we're going to have to do. I'm going to have to lease a pickup wagon, aren't I? Because we don't have one of those. So I'll have to do that. Now we can take a bit of an inside view here. I just find with these bigger harvesters it's a little bit trickier to do in-cab work. Now we'll pick up where we left off down here. Whoops, wrong button. So as usual, I'll keep track of what we do, where our revenue comes from, especially what pertains to our fields. So what we get, for selling the straw. I think we'll take a look at what the market is doing, but I don't think we'll sit on them. I think we'll sell them right away because we really don't have a good place to store them. And if a tornado comes along, it'll fire them all over the place, so we don't need that. Actually, the view in this harvester is not so bad for in-cab. Some of them I find it's just the design of the harvester, the header, or the view isn't just that great out to the one side, but this one's not bad. Our fancy unit here. Better not take our eyes off the ball because we are not using steering assists. Doing it what I call freehand. I don't have anything against using a steering assist, but sometimes I just like to do it on my own. On larger fields, I'll tend to use steering assist. More on smaller ones, I don't mind just doing it myself. Alright, we better get out of cab here just for this little piece to make sure we don't wrap it around a tree. Well, those are pretty big looking straw swaths. Whoops, I think that's far enough back there, Farmer Murphy. Still haven't done anything about a second family vehicle. I suppose that'll come to head this fall, because once we get the harvest done and I need a vehicle to, do farm work, run around the farm, and Rebecca wants one to, go to town, get the groceries, those kind of things. That's when the pressure's on. When it's not busy on the farm, it really doesn't matter. Still getting little shots of lag every once in a while, and I just can't figure out what's causing it. Got to be something going on in the background that's sucking up resources, but I make sure nothing is turned on, and I crank up the priority on Farming Simulator, but I still get these little shots every once in a while. Kind of a nuisance, but when I'm playing on my own, I'll have my monitor running and be monitoring performance, because it happens not just when I'm recording, it happens all the time. And I kind of watch my performance monitor, and I cannot see anything like any CPU spikes or anything that coordinates with it, really. Yeah, just don't know what's going on. Probably some kind of ransomware isn't quite the right term, but some kind of software they'll put on that, now that my machine's a little bit older, to aggravate me and annoy me, so I go and buy a new one. It is on the list. I'd like to get a new new PC and get a desktop one. I'm using a laptop right now, and just continue to use this one for contract stuff that I do on the side and have a proper gaming PC. We'll see. Really not taking all that long to get this canola off. Eventually, though, we'll upgrade to the X9 and go to the, there's one larger header yet. I think this is like 13.7, and there's a Mac Don one that's 15.2, I think it is. That's where we're going to head to eventually here. What we'll likely do is we'll just add an X9 with a large header, and we'll run that harvester, and this harvester will have two of them going. Because we got to remember, when we own the entire map, we're going to have to do everything to every field. Like there's, what, 3 fields here we didn't have to harvest. Actually 4, although one's not very big. Oh, sleeping at the switch here. But we'll have to harvest them and prep them. And I don't imagine every fall we'll get as lucky with the weather as we did last year. Because we only had to stop early one day during harvest. And like this year already, it's not as good because we're going to have to stop it. We're going to get shut down at 10 o'clock this year, today. Well, Jim, he just got 1 or 2 speeds. Full bore and dead stop. Nothing in between. Hey, buddy, watch the paint. Now I think this grain cart will only hold 3 hopperfuls. I was thinking I didn't set it up so that it would load into the truck and dump. I didn't think this field was big enough to warrant that. But we are definitely going to have more than 1 more hopperful. We're going to have to deal with that. Well, maybe it's 4. We'll know soon enough. I didn't set up an unload point or anything, so it's just one of the base game the farmer's market. So if he does start to take off, we'll have to tap there quick, because I don't want him selling any of this by accident. Actually, I don't think he would, because it's not set up in auto drive to sell from the auger, like the position. I know that because I was gonna intentionally do that, and I had that issue, and I knew I wasn't keeping that auger wagon, so I just did it by hand. I didn't want to muck around with it to get an offset to make it drive over the sell point and dump out of the auger. So if he does head for the sell point, I think we'll be all right. He won't actually be able to sell anything. Although I don't know if it was FS22 or FS19. I remember there was an auger wagon that actually you could dump out of the back too. You know, for that kind of situation, if you wanted to go to over a sell point. Joke would be on me if this one did that, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Yeah, see, there it is. A couple more little shots of lag on the corner. Hopefully you won't see those or notice them. I can usually edit them out. Might be because it was in that same corner when it happened last time. It might be all the buildings and stuff is down there. Might have something to do with it. Not the best view looking that way because that's where the sun is. Now, that auger wagon, it's 40,000 liters or right around there. It's just slightly over, I think. So we're definitely going to fill that up. Can't remember what the sell price on soybeans was. We're in hard economy on here, so I'm curious actually. Let's take a look. What prices? Soybeans, looking right at it. 1,200 bucks. So if we get over 40,000 liters, that'll be, yeah, it won't be too bad. 40,000, a little bit more. $45,000, something like that, between 45, 48. Now, I'm just was kind of thinking, I'm wondering what the value, total value of contracts we would have gotten off of this field. Don't think it would have been that high. Well, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have. It's not one of the fields where if we get 80,000, this is probably like a harvest contract that would be worth about 5,000-6,000 on here. You get a little bit extra. And if you did the plowing and everything else, I think we're going to come out ahead, particularly with selling the straw too. I particularly wanted that field across the way because I checked out the county map, and that field, like this field, is excellent. It's got really good soils in it, so it will be a real high yielding field. And I think we're going to head probably north. We'll do 12 and 13. And we're going to do a little plowing together of those fields. There's some areas we can plow together, and there's some areas that we can't. But I think it was the shapes of the fields was intentional to prevent erosion. But seeing as we're doing no-till, and it's pretty flat, the areas that we can plow in and combine, I don't feel too bad about that. So I think that's where we may head next. Of course, always subject to funds. But that was another option I had in mind rather than the field next door. But the field next door's got better soil, so I thought it was a better option. Now, is this going to fill him up? Are we going to have to take a pause in the harvesting action to empty him out? Actually, we could take and just empty the auger wagon right into the bin. If we were careful, we don't need to put it in the truck. Now that I think about it. Let's jump out of here and let's run across and jump in with Jim. Keep an eye on what's going on here. Oh, that's not a very Jim-like looking person, is it? Is it full? Let's take the cover off and have a look and see. Oh, I'm gonna have to fire. I don't know why that closed the cover when I jumped in. That's kind of an oddity. Just because I jumped in to join. But I think I'm pretty sure he's going to fill this up, yeah. All right, well, you know what? We've actually stopped him from taking off to the market or anything crazy like that. Can we squeeze through here? Oh, no. Jump over this. There we go. Where there's a will, there's a way. But we can actually finish this up. We'll have enough room. We'll do that. And that'll give us a pretty good idea, because I know that auger wagon is 40,000 and just a little bit, like a 250, 40,250, that kind of thing. Is not just a tiny bit over. And then we'll go dump it. And we'll try dumping it right out of the auger wagon. Because there's something I wanted to talk to you about at our bin site when we get there. Sorry, I had to mute you there for a little bit. I had a little excitement. There's someone at the door. The dogs were going crazy. But I heard them coming, so I managed to catch it, I think, before you guys had to listen to any of it. Are we going to be lucky here and be able to get all of this? You know what? No, we're not. We're going to have the Farmer Murphy, what do they call that? Row of shame? So close. Now I haven't leased the corn header yet. I'll do all of the harvesting that uses the straight header here, and then I'll lease a corn header, and that's when I'll come and do our cornfield. And that's when I'll likely bring you back in again. Bring you back in for our corn harvest, and we'll do that as soon as all the soybeans are off. We didn't have any soybeans to sell last year. We didn't have enough left over from contracts to even make it worthwhile, but we'll definitely have soybeans to sell this year. And in just a few seconds, we'll know how many. We have 6,000 liters in the hopper, so you can shut this off. And 40,000 in the grain cart, so 46,000 liters. That'll be over $50,000 actually, as long as Farmer Murphy doesn't snooze and miss the peak sell time. All right, let's run this across the road, see if we can get it to dump in directly. I don't think there's any reason we shouldn't be able to, and it gives us an opportunity. Check out this, and you can see, oh, you can't without that on. Yeah, 35.4 hours. So she got a little time on her. Oh yeah, and they can see it in the monitor there too, 35.4 hours. But it's, perfect size tractor for planting and for carting with this grain cart. If we had larger grain cart than this, it wouldn't work. So that's why I said we really could get rid of the 9RT if we were pushed, but because we don't have any bigger field equipment. But having the 9RT, it gives us the opportunity to buy some larger field equipment if it does become available, so we can speed up contracts. No one coming? I wonder if I forgot to turn traffic back on. I might have. Oh, now we should come in the other way, but alright, we can spin around. But this is one I wanted to discuss with you. I think this little John Deere is going to have to go down the river. I really like it. It's a perfect size for what we're doing here, but I hate the gearbox on it. You come to a dead stop every time you shift gears. This thing's going to give me whiplash. Holy cow, look how much our pipe moved from this morning. It's never, oh my goodness. I wonder if I ran into it and didn't realize it because I set it up in the dark. Let's swing this up a little bit. I don't think it wasn't that dark that I couldn't see to get it lined up. Maybe it's too close to this other bin. It doesn't like it. Try and maybe swing it out just a little bit. Yeah, in 22 I didn't have any trouble with these augers moving, but they seem to move around a bit in 25. Which is unfortunate because I do like using them. Okay, and we'll just swing this out here like so. And actually, we don't need this business here at all for what I'm planning to do, so we can just move it out of the way. Yeah, so it's unfortunate, but see what I mean? Every gear change. It makes it a nuisance, especially when you're trying to do precision work like I am with it, backing it up. So I'm afraid it's going to have to go south. See if we can find another old John Deere we can do that with. Or I have used like a gator type thing. Oops. I'll have to find something else anyway. That's unfortunately, and I think that's even a Giants mod. It's just now if I get this lined up, will it dump right in there? Yes, sir. Oh, not quite lined up good enough. Inch it over here a little bit more. There we go. Why is it not continuing here? They can be a little fiddly. Oh boy, that looks like that's lined up perfect to me. If I get it lined up, it will dump. That's why I like using that other belly dump thing where the truck works really good. Yeah. Oh boy. Sorry about that, guys. That was a bit of a rigmarole. But I figured it would work. Now, if I put the belly dump and went over it, I wouldn't have had the issue. You know, I've got a bigger target. Because anywhere in here, in this area here, that you can't really see if the grass would work. Oh, you know what I just realized? Oh, well, it doesn't matter. That actually was intended to be our corn bin, and this is our soybean bin here because, well, you'll see. But it does, for this year, it doesn't matter. But when we get our corn dryer, it sure will. But there we go. Our first crop in the silo. Pretty exciting. Little bit of a rigmarole to get it lined up here and in, but it does work. I was curious about that. But I have probably eaten up way more time than I intended doing that. So I'll leave you there. I will bring you back in at corn harvest time. So we'll get as many extra contracts done as we can and all the soybean in. And then we'll carry on with another harvest episode when it's corn time. So we'll see you then. So if you're still with me, I really appreciate you watching. If you haven't already, I encourage you to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to see when other content like this lands, hit that old notification bell. But for this episode, here on Monteith, it's Farmer Murphy signing off.